Now a link could so I don't know if I'm streaming or not. Can you see it? Because I can't see it. It's on? Okay. So, hello and welcome to CLAT Plus. It was a big day, huh? So, कैसा गया सबका क्लैट का एग्जाम? सबने बहुत ज़्यादा मेहनत करी है, महीनों से सब लगे हुए हैं और खूब मेहनत और मशक्क़त के साथ वी आर फाइनली हियर ऑन द डी डे. पेपर तो कंपैरेटिवली अगर कहा जाए व्हेन आई सॉ द क्वेश्चंस, अच्छा मुझे एक चीज़ बता दो, इज दिस ओके? yes. So when I saw the questions, I thought कि at least RC के section में the questions were pretty much straight passage में दिख रहे थे. There were no inference based questions. They were very straightforward. If you see, like, according to the author, which of the following words is related to the word assimilation? It's a very straightforward passage. So I hope कि आप सबने एटलीस्ट ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट किए हों, बिकॉज जब पेपर इजी आता है तो जो डिफाइनिंग फैक्टर होता है हमारा विच कि होगा नहीं होगा या फिर जस्ट गेटिंग गुड ग्रेड्स और अ गुड रैंक, आई थिंक इज डिपेंड्स ऑन द नंबर ऑफ अटेम्प्ट्स दैट यू हैव मेड. अगर अटेम्प्ट ज़्यादा होंगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली स्कोर आपका कंपैरेटिवली बूस्ट. So am I audible right now? Yeah. So जब हमारे अटेम्प्ट्स उतने होंगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली हमारा स्कोर कंपैरेटिवली बूस्ट करेगा, इवन दो येस देयर माइट बी वन और टू क्वेश्चंस जिसमें जो गलत हो सकते हैं, बट येस द डिफाइनिंग फैक्टर इज डेफिनेटली एंड ऑलवेज द नंबर ऑफ अटेम्प्ट्स. सो आज के सेशन में विल गो थ्रू आज का क्लैट का पेपर. विल सॉल्व द क्वेश्चंस टुगेदर एंड सी कि आपने क्या आंसर्स मार्क किए हैं एंड व्हाट अकॉर्डिंग टू अस आर द करेक्ट आंसर्स ऑफ द पैसेजेस. So, since I think everybody has already gone through the passages, so we'll skip to the part of reading the passage together and go straight to the questions. Looking at the first passage was pretty much clear. It was talking about education and what is the way that we perceive education to be and what, according to the author, education should look like. So, first question, education as described by the author means, I think it was pretty much clear. The first line of the passage itself here says education is not the amount of information that is put, and even here, if education were identical with information, I think, so the answer for the first question would be information. Moving on to the next. So, moving on to the next question. As per the author, the aim of the education should be to help a person build his character, to help a person earn his livelihood, to help a person develop his or her intellect. I think it's given in the passage itself somewhere where he says that we need technical education, all else will develop in industries. Here, somewhere here, they already have written that. Wait, let me find it for you. That as per the author, the aim of the education should be to help a person build his or her character, to help a person earn his or her livelihood, and to help a person develop his intellect. The answer would be all of the above. Sorry. Moving on to the third question. According to the author, the country wants massive willpower, spirit of philanthropy, iron and steel industries, and all of the above. The passage nowhere talks about massive willpower. The passage nowhere talks about spirit of philanthropy. The passage talks about having industries. So C would be the correct answer. According to the author, We need to study English language, technical education, Western science. In the passage, all three of them have been mentioned by the author. Here, the knowledge that is, we need technical education, English language and Western, English language and Western science and technical education. So the answer would be all of the above. I hope you guys are understanding, and if there's any issue, do, or any question you want to repeat, or we want to go through it again, just do let me know. So, according to the author, which among the following is key to attaining knowledge? He definitely in the passage does not talk about university degree, and he is the key. When he definitely did mention library, but whenever he was talking about the key to attaining knowledge, the author was emphasizing on concentration of mind. Education is concentration of mind. He clearly and explicitly said the very essence of education is concentration of mind. So here, for your fifth question, it will be concentration of mind. Which of the following is related to the word assimilation? See, if we go through the paper, there are various questions which ask what is the meaning, what is the synonym, what is the antonym. So our goal while we're preparing for CLAT should never be just to read the passages and solve RCs, or to increase our speed of reading passages and understanding. Our main goal should be also, one of our goals should be to actually understand the words, रीड मोर, अंडरस्टैंड वर्ड्स, जो डिफिकल्ट वर्ड्स हैं उनके मीनिंग्स देखो देखो कि उसके एंटोनिम्स क्या है, सिनोनिम्स क्या है, ऑपोजिट्स क्या हैं, यूज कैसे कर सकते हैं. इसीलिए नहीं कहते थे बचपन में दैट वी शुड, कि एक बार कोई भी डिफिकल्ट वर्ड मिलता है, देयर इज सम काइंड ऑफ अ न्यू वोकैबुलरी दैट यू कम अक्रॉस, यू शुड यूज इट इन योर डेली लाइफ एट लीस्ट वंस. इट विल स्टे इन योर हेड. You will be bound to remember it comparatively more. So, which of the following words is related to the word assimilation? इसका आंसर क्या क्या लिखा है सबने? A, B, C or D? I think it's pretty clear. It was integration. Okay, moving on to the second passage. The second passage was pretty much about कि author बता रहा है कि कैसे, what he's talking about his own experience of how did he come to become an author or a writer, और उसको कैसे बचपन से ही early development के stage से ही he understood कि उनका जो character traits है, they are he's more likely to become a writer. So George Orwell's loneliness during childhood led to making up stories. The answer would be C. So, when I grew up, I should be a writer. I had the lonely child habits of making up stories. Here, explicitly, after he has mentioned about loneliness, he has talked about making up stories. So the answer to the seventh question will be making up stories. Why does Orwell give background information? Here in the passage, he has explicitly stated. Now, he has definitely talked about lonely child's habits. उन्होंने definitely historic impulses की बात करी. He has talked about aesthetic enthusiasm. But background information, he has explicitly stated here. I give all this background information because I do not think one assesses a writer's motives without knowing something of his early development. So, here the answer would be C. If writer escapes from early impulses, he will lose his urge to write, be unable to imagine creatively, be able to converse with imaginary characters, or be able to influence others. I think it was pretty clear. It was given in the passage, he will lose his urge to write. For the author, The aesthetic enthusiasm is an important motive for writing because now let's revisit the passage where he talks about aesthetic enthusiasm. He says, the desire to share an experience which one feels is valuable and ought not to be missed. जो author को लगता है कि it's a very valuable incident and he wants to share it with people. Now let's look at the options. Shapes the thought. He definitely does not talk about shaping the thought. Creates an artistic piece. Becomes invaluable. He talks about the experience to be valuable, but not the motive of writing. I think personally the answer would be D, non-utilitarian. Because अगर हम बाकी के सारे 4 points को देखें, he has talked about how it will help, what will be the utility, use of it, but he has not talked about any use when it comes to aesthetic enthusiasm. So the answer would clearly be non-utilitarian. The author strongly advocates the writers to avoid any egoistic impression in their work, be apolitical in their approach, and be contemporary in their treatment of work. The answer would be none of the above. He has not talked about key writers, he has not advocated anything on the behalf of the authors. He has just told us about his own experience, his own ideologies. Subject matter is only determined by the age he lives in. He's talked about the subject matter, he's talked about the urge completely escapes, and then he has talked about, I think there are 4 great motives for writing. He has nowhere mentioned about what he wants to advocate for the writers. Which of the following is a synonym for the word tumultuous? I think it's turbulent. It's very clear. The answer would be turbulent. अभी तक किसके कितने, if you guys are going through and checking it with us, I would love to know कि किसके कितने, how many did you attempt and how many were correct or incorrect. Okay. Fifth, the third passage. The third passage was a very interesting passage according to me. It was written very beautifully and the details, they're just impeccable. So, the author in this was talking about a very normal day, which he describes in detail about a man who is looking for customers, and he describes all the surroundings of that man, of the place where he goes and he starts working, where he starts his day. Which among the following is the meaning of the word expression vociferousness? Vociferousness basically means when you are putting, जब आप अपने opinions को, अपने ideologies को express करते हैं, but comparatively in a more loud manner. So the answer would be A. When did the astrologer usually start his day's business? The first word of the passage, punctually at midday, answers your question. Punctually at midday. C would be the answer to your 14th question. Moving on. What was considered as a prophetic light by the simple clients of the astrologer? The resplendent forehead of the astrologer with sacred ash and vermilion, the sparkling eyes of the astrologer with an abnormal gleam, the dark whiskers which stream down the cheeks of the astrologer, or the saffron colored turban tied around the head of the astrologer. Prophetic light with a sharp abnormal gleam, which was really an outcome of a continual search for customers. With an abnormal gleam. Which among the following is the word for the phase Bright, colorful in an impressive way. I did go through this question and I went through the options. I searched them on Google as well, and I went through the dictionaries. But it was all, these words are not talking about any. This expression, colorful, is the one which really creates a little bit of problem, because अगर हम डिक्शनरी मीनिंग्स में देखें या गूगल मीनिंग्स में देखें, nobody talk, none of these words basically talk about some colorful light. All of them talk about bright light. So I think the closest would be flare, but let's see what the consortium tells or describes as the answer. क्या आंसर कंसोर्शियम हमें देता है इसका? Which among the following is not a trade or an occupation represented in the pathway running through the town hall park? Magicians, medicine sellers, auctioneers of cheap bags, and sellers of stolen hardware. Now let's go and revisit the passage. Medicine sellers, sellers of stolen hardware. That option gets cut out. Medicine wala gets cut out. Magicians, and above all, an auctioneer of cheap cloth. Here is not a trade. I think the answer would be C, because there was an auctioneer of cheap clothes, but not auctioneers of cheap bags. So the answer would be your C. Who among the following use names like Bombay ice creams, Delhi almond, and Raja's delicacy to attract the crowd? It was the groundnut seller. So the answer would be D. The fourth passage. This passage talks about children and how teachers and parents should, instead of going and एक बच्चे को एक डब्बे में बंद करके या फिर telling him what he should be like, what he should do, what he should pursue, the parents or the teachers should actually learn, study the child, and then उसकी strengths or weaknesses के according they should guide them. That is what the passage is talking about. Which of the following currently reflects the intention of the author of this passage? The right kind of education for a child cannot be without love, care, and understanding. True education should be governed by tendency to conform a child to our ideals. I think B point to आपका as it is eliminate हो जाता है. This is not what the passage is talking about. The teacher should focus on how a child should be according to his or her methodology, hope or expectation. This also gets eliminated. Parents and teachers should work together collectively to guide a child on what he or she should do as per their ambitions. The passage is talking about parents and teachers, but they have not collectively talked about parents and teachers. They have talked about the education and how love and care and empathy is important. So the answer would be your option A. In the light of the above passage, what be the result of forcing a child to conform to the frameworks of an ideal? It will make the child an ideal child. It will create confusion and fear in the child. The child will get into a conflict and will discourage the child to conform to the ideal. Let's revisit the passage. To enclose him in the framework of an ideal is to encourage him to conform, which breeds fear and produces him in a constant conflict with what he is and what he should be. And all inward conflicts have their outward manifestations in society. Now, एक बार फिर से हम ऑप्शंस को पढ़ते हैं. It will make the child an ideal child. That gets eliminated. It will create confusion and fear in the child. The child will get into conflict and will discourage the child to conform to the ideal. I think B or C, both of them are pretty close answers, because the entire statement is talking about both fear and conflict and the confusion as well. So close, I think, would be the child will get into a conflict, because they were eventually talking about how out inward conflicts then get manifested into outward conflicts. So according to me, right now the correct answer would be the child will get into a conflict. According to the author, what should be the attitude of a right kind of a teacher? They should not empathize with the students. They should use modern and scientific methods of teaching. They should focus on studying each student individually, and they should instill great ideas in the students. Straight up, the answer would be C. They should focus on studying each student individually. ये तो passage में ही it's been clearly given and provided. According to the passage, why do we look for quick and easy remedies and for and hope for marvelous and automatic results? Because children are impressionable, volatile, sensitive, and affectionate. Because why do we look for quick and easy remedies and hope for marvelous? The answer would be D. Because we lack understanding, patience, and love. What does this passage highlight as the quality of a parent who really desires to understand his child? They look at the child through the prism of an ideal. They observe and study the tendencies, moods, and peculiarities of the child. B would be the correct answer. The quality of a parent who really desires to understand his child. Here. If the parent loves the child, he observes him, he studies his tendency, his moods, and peculiarities. So here we have the answer to your second last question. They observe and study the tendencies, moods, and peculiarities of the child. What is the antonym for the word volatile? Volatile is definitely जो unstable होता है, unsteady होता है, जो फट सकता है कभी भी. So the answer would be steady. Sorry, antonym for the word volatile, your answer would be stable. Something that is stable, which is very opposite of volatile. Volatile is something that is not stable. वो कभी फट सकता है. It's very unstable. So the answer would be stable. Okay, now that we have gone through and we have discussed all the passages, all the questions, I hope you guys have now jotted down, देख लिया कि किसने कितने सही किया, कितने गलत किया. And now that's just for English. Tomorrow we will be having the analysis for the rest of the sections as well. So I hope you guys do not take much pressure, do not take a lot of stress. Jao, stay calm, stay relaxed, hydrated, because I guess abhi A-Lit bhi hai aap log ka, and you guys need to focus on that as well. So we'll see you guys later tomorrow and discuss all the rest of the sections as well. So bye bye, take